Hi all, very good afternoon and very warm welcome to the webinar today. Today's webinar topic is change the way you have been doing manual application testing so far. I'm Nilesh and I head the pre-sales at pCloudy. The webinar is typically scheduled for an hour and I'll be covering the topic in next 40 to 45 minutes. And the last 10 to 15 minutes we will be reserving for the question and answer session. Please use the questions tab on your GoToWebinar window to raise your questions. I know that the webinar is not an interactive session right now for us, but you can always write the questions, jot the questions whenever it comes to your mind, and towards the end of the webinar, I'll try to answer all these questions. Okay, so let's move on to the agenda for today's webinar, what we have in the store. So, fine. So let's see what we have. So we will be seeing a quick, brief introduction about pCloudy today. Then we will see the pCloudy use case, where all pCloudy can be used in a typical product lifecycle development for the mobile applications. And we will see how mobile app testing is done today. What are the expectations when we are thinking about the mobile application testing? We'll also see the growing demand for the automation testing in today's world. We will see when the entire world is moving towards automation and when there is so much of demand for the automation, why still the manual testing is relevant. And later we will see the core of this webinar is introducing the follow me feature which we have, followed by the Q&A. All right, so let's quickly see the brief introduction about pCloudy. So pCloudy is basically a mobile device cloud test platform wherein you can do mobile application testing remotely. You can test native hybrid applications, mobile web applications, and PWA mobile applications on real devices. You can get the device analytics through this platform. You can perform manual testing, you can perform test automations and in-field UX testing at a single stop at pCloudy. And all this you can achieve through web by the test engineer. So we do have a web interface. You can actually open pCloudy from any standard browser, and you use this service. You can access the device remotely from the simple browser here. Now we do have plugins available in case developers wants to use the device from pCloudy to debug their mobile applications or test their mobile applications directly on the real devices. Let's say what are all offerings we have. So at pCloudy we have public cloud as the first offering, which we allow to use 500 plus wide variety of devices with real SIM. So you can actually test your applications on the cellular networks directly with the network operators which we have on the device. And we also have our devices spread across 4 different locations, namely India, USA, Australia, and Philippines. The second offering which we have is about a private cloud. So basically, we create an instance of the cloud which we have in our data center for any specific corporate to get the dedicated devices and access to the cloud. The last offering which we have is, again, we call as on-premise cloud, and this is basically the cloud which we will set it up in your premises behind your firewall. So all the remote lab will be managed absolutely by the corporate behind their firewall, and everything will be controlled by them. So this way, these are the 3 different flavors of offerings which we have at pCloudy. So moving on to the next slide, just to see wherein pCloudy is fitting in when we typically look for the typical product life cycle, right? So there are 3 phases in the product life cycle development. These are development and test, pre-release, and market release. Now, For the simplicity, I have depicted this phases to a minimal level here. These phases might vary organization to organization typically, but just for the sake of this, make it very simple and see where exactly pCloudy fits in. We have a very simple depiction here. Okay, so the very first part is the developer track, right? So developers create the code, they change the code and creates new build, right? Typically, this is what happens in the industry. So once they do that, they will be actually running the automation test cases on their real devices in the current existing setup. Now, what if suppose in the same setup in the same phase, if we provide AI-based automated health check to their applications, don't you think that it will be pretty much beneficial to get the automated health checkup analysis of their application at this stage itself, right? So, well, actually, pCloudy provides, pCloudy perhaps is the best suit here in this particular phase here. The next phase is QA track, which is typically the QA teams. Okay, so there are two primary activities in the QA team. Okay, one is the manual testing of the new features, which is developed by the developers, and it should be tested on the real devices. And second part is executing the automated regression tests. Now, here also, QA teams can use pCloudy for both these activities. So if I just move on, you can see pCloudy fits in even at these two stages. So once this phase is clear, it can be released in the market. Typically, this is what happens. But it is always advisable to get it tested in the real life field conditions. Okay, so that's when the crowd testing comes into picture. So if some of the organizations do want to do real life crowd testing, again, pCloudy is fits in there because we do have services for that. So this makes pCloudy a full lifecycle application test platform. Okay, and in today's session, we will not be focusing on the automation part. So today's session is primarily focused around the manual testing. So let's see how we going further, how we can achieve the manual testing at the pCloudy. All right, so before we jump onto the manual testing and see why manual testing is still important now, we will just quickly see how the growing demand of the automation testing. Now, to make sure that the features and functionalities work fine before it is released in the market, most of the organizations are actually focusing a lot on the automation. So large-scale applications with frequent releases needs to be replaced before every release to ensure that all the features remain intact with the recent code changes, just to avoid any regulations. It can make the enterprise mobility testing effective, error-free, and accelerate time to market. Uh, it not only reduces the manual errors but increases the test coverage multifolds. These are some of the key advantages for the automation testing. And because of all these all these points, the automation is given a prime importance, and all the organizations are pretty much focused towards the automating, the most of the test cases. Now, this is so far so good. I mean, since because of these advantages, everybody is moving on to the automation, and this is pretty much needed, right? This is pretty much needed. But we move on to the next slide, which is saying why, when we have so much of importance given to the automation, why is manual testing still relevant in today's era? Okay, when you are developing typically a mobile application. So I've just listed a couple of points here just to tell you why manual testing is still relevant. Okay, so automated application testing saves time with repetitive jobs. We all know about that. Okay, so that the manual testing, because of this, the manual testing efforts can center around coming up with the creative use cases. When we say creative use cases, it means since now most of the testing is done in an automated way, the manual testers can focus more to create new test cases, new use cases, so that they can find some quality defects. Ad hoc testing. Ad hoc testings are not technically feasible to automate because when you are as a human intelligence cannot be given to the automation part, so you will have to create different scenarios. You have to do the ad hoc testing. You have to look for different scenarios, different interrupts, as if a real user is using it. So you now, when you have automated most of your test cases, now the manual testing team can actually focus more on the ad hoc testing. Runtime changes in the functionality. If I want to talk more about that, during the situation, during situations when there are runtime changes in the functionality of some of the modules, either as an enhancement or behavior change of the module, manual testing is pretty quicker to perform at this particular stage, because it is really difficult to adopt those, create those test cases, and put it into automation. So it is always preferred to do the manual testing at that particular time, and this is the only option available during the initial stage of application, when you just start application development. You cannot do the manual test automation testing that time, because either the application is not completely developed, there are a lot of changes happening around. So it makes more sense to test your application manually then, and once it is stabilized, once the feature is stable, then probably you can go ahead with the automation testing. The last but not the least is the negative testing. Now, negative testing can be done more rigorously by manual testing as compared to automation testing. I'm not saying that you cannot achieve that through automation testing, but if you want to do more rigorous negative testing, I believe manual testing is the best testing to go ahead with. So let's see how are we doing it in the current scenario. When we are talking about manual testing, how are we doing it with the current scenario? The current scenario, if you really look at it, we have two options. One is either we are doing a manual testing with the device in hand. Typically, most of the test engineers are performing their testing in these fashions. They get the device in their hand from their organization, and they'll install the application. They'll do the testing. Right? That's one option. The second option which we have is maybe the device is connected to their computer, okay, and they are performing some manual testing on that. The third option which comes with which a lot of organizations are adopting to is connecting to a real device on a cloud-based platform like pCloudy, what we have. So you can actually use such kind of platforms to connect to a real device remotely and do the testing manually from your browser. Now, if you notice, in all these three scenarios which I have just explained here, we are still doing the testing on a single device at a time by a single manual test engineer, right? So irrespective whether I'm having the device in my hand, even if it is connected to my local system, or if I'm connecting to a device remotely for on a cloud-based platform, I have liberty to test my application on a single device at any given point of time. I mean, of course, at pCloudy, you can open multiple tabs and do the testing on multiple devices. But then again, let's say your single test flow or the test suite is taking 1 hour, for example. And if you want to do on two devices at pCloudy also, you'll be opening two different tabs using two different devices. So cumulatively, you will be spending 2 hours of your time, right? So typically, this is what is happening today. Now, what if, suppose we provide you some feature, or what if suppose you figure it out, there is a solution available in the market which will help you to perform manual tests on multiple devices together? Do you really think that it will make a big impact to the traditional manual testing which we are doing it right now? I'm pretty sure that you all will agree that it will definitely expedite the testing. It will definitely save a lot of your testing efforts, time, and you can actually get the results for multiple devices very quickly. So today's webinar is all about the same feature which we have just mentioned it here. We do have a feature at pCloudy which will enable you to perform manual testing on multiple devices together. Now, when we will see that particular feature, you will be amazed to see that how you will be saving your efforts, what kind of testing you can perform on such kind of features, right? So moving on and introducing to all of you the feature called Follow Me. Now, Follow Me is the feature which I will be taking you through in today's presentation here, right? So let's move on to the Follow Me thing. I'll be moving on to the next slide here. So just give me a second. I will just show you the second screen from where you can see the product demo. All right, so this feature, what I was talking about, Follow Me, is basically a feature which we have in beta right now. So I'll be using it from test.pcloudy.com. You may not be able to use this feature of the production environment currently at pCloudy, but early next month we will be releasing it into the pCloudy product environment, so you will be able to use it. So let me just quickly log into the device the beta environment. By the way, there must be some users who have joined today. They might have not experienced pCloudy yet. So I request all the participants, if they have not registered with pCloudy, they should be registering with pCloudy and use this platform for some time to understand what are all features and value adds which we are bringing into their normal manual functional testing. For the benefit of all, I'll be showcasing a very quick 5 minutes demo for manual testing on a single device, and then we'll move on to the following stuff. So this is what typically you'll be seeing at pCloudy when you log in with your registered email user ID, right? So there are certain tabs on the top here. The first and foremost thing is, I mean, of course, I can just click on the devices and you can see here the list of devices which are available on the cloud, which you can connect to any of the device and acquire a device for manual testing. But before even you acquire a device, what is typically needed at pCloudy is we need the application. We need an application on which you want to do the testing or for which you want to do the testing. So we have something called My App Data folder on the top right corner here. If I click here, you will be shown the file server or the space on the cloud where you can upload the applications which are under test. So you can simply click on upload file, browse the application from your local system. Maybe I'm just going to this, and let's say I'm going and saying any of this application, right? Let's say this BA application test.apk. This way you can actually upload the application. So you can see that application got uploaded here today. Okay, so I have already uploaded an application called Delta app here. Okay, this is for the Delta Air. When you want to do the normal functional testing on one single device, you just need to upload the application the way I have uploaded, and from this location you will be installing the application on the real device. But when it comes to Follow Me, where you will be doing the testing on multiple devices, we have to instrument the device, instrument the file. So instrumentation is pretty simple. You just need to select the application for which you want to do the instrumentation. Come to the last button here in this file, which is talking about APK instrument. And if you click this button, APK instrument, we will instrument your file and we will save that file in the same location here with the other name, the same name, delta v4.6 app pure.com / .instrument timestamp.apk, right? So this is basically the same file which you have uploaded sometime back, which you want to test, but it is a little instrumented application. So this instrumented application is something which we will be using it for the Follow Me feature, right? So for the benefit of all, what I will be doing is I'll quickly take 5 minutes of yours to showcase how to connect to a device for doing manual testing, and then we will see how to install the application there and how to start the testing. So I'm just clicking to the Samsung device, for example. I'm just clicking on Samsung, and the moment you click on the connect button, you will be taken to the device interaction page here, and you can see the device. The device is connected, and the application which I have just taken is installed there. You can also install it. You can just click it here, click the application, like this is the application I want to install, and you can simply install it. So since the application is already installed on this, it will again reinstall the application, and you can see the application is gone. It is closed. Now new instance of the application is getting installed, and this way you can see the application is getting installed. Here you will be seeing the progress, right? Now in the meantime, let's look at the couple of features which we have. So all the features which you are seeing on the left hand side, these are the typical features which we are supporting at pCloudy, and some of them are listed here. Okay, so application got installed on the device, and it has also got it is launched, so you can start your testing, right? So when you are testing manually the functional part on device.pcloudy.com, you can actually interact with the device in the same fashion as you would have interacted with the device in hand. The only difference is you will be using your mouse to provide the interaction. So I'm just clicking on this click button here, right click, and I got into the application. If I want to capture a screenshot, I am just need to click on screenshot button, and we will capture a screenshot which will be available here in this screenshots folder, which will be like 1:1 pixel screenshot along with the skin of the device. You can actually use network simulation feature, you can use location simulation feature, you can toggle the Wi-Fi, you can do the Chrome, you can use Chrome debuggers to debug your HTML5 or hybrid applications. You can remote the device remotely if you want. You can rotate the device screen to portrait and landscape, and the content will also change. Now this particular application does not support in landscape mode, but the applications which supports in landscape mode can also be tested in landscape mode. So these are some of the key features which we have, which you can use it for doing manual testing. So you just, let's say I want to click on continue as a guest. Let me make it a little big so you can see it. You can zoom in, zoom out. So I'm just clicking on continue as a guest, and the application has gone inside. So this way you should be able to interact with the device. Now while doing your testing, you should be also able to see the logs which is generated by the device. In case you are interested in that while doing testing, you just need to click on logs button here and click on initialize streaming, and you will start seeing the logs getting poured here, which you can monitor when doing testing. And it's all color coded logs. You can also put a filter to see all logs, debug only, info only, warnings only, or errors only, right? So all these things are possible. You can also monitor the performance of this application. So we are bringing non-functional testing along with the functional testing, which is again a big value add which pCloudy is bringing in. So if I click on analysis button here, I can just go and click here and select the application for which I want to test the monitor the performance. Let's say Delta here. So I've just selected Delta, and then you can start seeing the graph here. You are seeing the memory consumption by this application at this stage. You can see the CPU consumption. You can see the network usage in case this application is a client-server application, and you can also see the battery consumption by the application. So this information, whatever you are seeing, red line here indicates the application battery consumption by the application, blue line indicates the battery consumption by device, and orange line indicates the battery consumption in terms of percentage. So basically all this non-performance data will be available next to you while you are doing functional testing. So this is what you can use pCloudy to do a normal functional testing on a single device as you are doing it right now. Now this particular part which I have explained is just for the sake of benefit of all. Now we will be moving on to the follow me feature, which is the key feature for today's webinar. So I'm just releasing the device from here, and I say release. Okay, so coming back to the follow me. So you would have noticed we have in the devices page, we have one more feature called follow me, right? So I'll be clicking on follow me. Now what does follow me means? What does follow me does? Let's see. So the very first step here is to go and choose the application which is under test, and it is clearly mentioned that it should be an instrumented APK. So I'm just clicking on choose a file. It will start listing me all the applications which I already have uploaded to my cloud drive in my app data folder, and this is the instrumented file which I was using it here. So I'm just selecting that, and you can go and mention for how long you want the device. Let's say you want it for 15 minutes, you want it for 30 minutes, or whatever time frame you want to test your application with. So let's say 30 minutes. So I've selected 30 minutes, and this guided UI will guide you to the next step. So I'm just clicking on next, and here it is. So we are showing you the list of devices. You can see the list of devices which we have available here right now in the beta environment. What it says is you can select 3 devices, right? So far from the manual testing which we have seen some time back, you were able to select connect to a single device. Here it is saying you can select maximum of 3 devices. So let's say I am selecting maybe Zopo, I'm selecting Vivo, and let's say I come back down and say I select Huawei, right? So you can see here number of devices selected 3. If I want to view which are those, I can just click on view, and quickly you can see all these devices you have chosen, right? Now coming to the next step, I just say next, and the next step is asking me to select one of the device as master device, right? So I am just clicking on this link here, and it is giving me all the devices which I have chosen some time back. So I can go and select any of the device as the master device. Let's say I select the first device as a master device. So you can see here everything is mentioned here. You have selected Sopo Speed 8 as the master device, right? And then I say start session. Now, the moment I say start session, again, you'll be taken to the connecting page, to the device interaction page, and this is the view typically which you have seen some time back, right? So let me just close these 2 things. You can see it here, it says device, installing the application on all the devices. So the application is getting installed on all the 3 devices. Now let's see what is the difference here from what we have seen some time back. The UI is pretty much same. We have added something called multi-view, and one of the device which you have chosen as a master will start appearing it here in the main screen. The rest of the 2 devices starts appearing it into multi-view portion here, right? Now you see the application got installed. It got installed. The trigger for installation started at the same time when you connected to your session, when you started your session, and the application already got installed on this device, and rest of the 2 devices the application should be installing very quickly. Yeah, you can see on this device, which is I believe Huawei device, the application got installed there also. Vivo is taking a little longer time. Maybe Vivo's it also depends on the device configuration, the hardware capabilities of the device, and of course the software capabilities of the device. So let's wait for a moment just to see, or I can interact with this device to see if I hope the device screen is not locked. Okay, maybe the device here in this case is locked because it's not allowing me to do anything. Okay, let me just go back and select the new device instead of Vivo, because it will make more sense to see the demo with 3 devices connected together. So let me release this and recreate the following cycle. By the way, one thing, since we have hit this particular situation, you can see when I actually release the devices, this is the device which we have chosen, which is Zopo, right? It says the device will be available after a minute. So we have a cleanup process. Whatever applications you are installing on the device will get cleaned up. The device will be rebooted after your testing is done, so that all the device resources gets nullified, or it is resetted back to the normal factory conditions, and then only the device will be available here for us to start the testing, right? So we have taken Vivo here. So this time we will not take Vivo, maybe because there is some issue with the device. The device screen is locked or something like that because it is in beta, right? So we will just wait for a moment, and I will connect back to the devices. Yeah, so Zopo, Huawei, and all the other devices are available now. So let's go to the follow me, choose the application again, the instrumented application. I'm selecting 30 seconds, 30 minutes, going next, selecting again maybe Zopo, and this time we will not take this device, maybe we'll take Motorola 6, and UI. Okay, so three devices I have taken. So next, I'm changing Zoho. Let's select Zoho as again the master device and say start session. Okay, so one more information here. Since it's in beta right now, we are not allowing all the other features which you have seen here manually. Those features are not enabled as of now. Only screenshot feature, zoom in, zoom out feature, and soft keys are allowed at this moment. But very soon, rest of the other features will also get integrated with this particular feature. So you should be able to test the application along with all the features which we support here. Okay, so let me close this and let's wait for the application to get installed. Okay, so on this device application got installed, on this device application got installed, and now I'm just waiting for this device to get the application installed. Okay, so on this device also the application got installed. Now you see, because of the space which I have here, both the devices are not able to see it completely. So I'm just doing a little bit of adjustment here with this crawler. Okay, so you can see now the complete application on this device, and almost 80% of the application on this device. So let's see what happens now. Okay, now this is what I was talking about. The way we are we are doing the manual testing is completely changed. Now, at the same time, at the same instance, you should be able to test your application on three devices. It doesn't mean that you have to give some inputs on this application, this device, then this device, and then this device. That is not going to solve your problem. It is as good as you are testing three devices instead of three different tabs. You are doing it on a single page, but you are still consuming 3 hours of testing. In the same example, if one particular workflow is taking 1 hour in one device, you will be still consuming 3 hours by doing some testing here, some testing here, and some testing here. So we have gone a step ahead in this particular feature. Now, if I just click on this uh, icon here on this application, you see what happens. The moment I clicked on that, the same action, whatever action I have performed, is getting performed automatically on these two devices. So you would have noticed these two devices are following the master, and that's why we are calling it as following, right? So whatsoever action I'll be doing on this device will be followed by these two devices. So let's do a small workflow for the benefit of this. Yeah, so I'm just clicking on continue as a test. Let me just make a little big screen so you can see everything on this device. Yeah, now you can see the complete screen here. Okay, so I'm just clicking on continue as a guest, and the same action is performed on both the devices. It has taken me inside. Now I'm just going from searching for a flight, and I'm entering Boston here. I've selected Boston. The same Boston is selected in the rest of the two devices. Okay, and now I'm going and selecting maybe New York, and I select New York, and the same New York is getting selected on the rest of the two devices. Now let's go and choose the dates. Okay, now let's say, of course, from here you can select the departure date, right? So I am selecting maybe let's say 2024. Okay, so we will just wait for a moment. This device is see now. With this, you can also figure it out one more thing. How the device configuration, the hardware configuration, the software configuration is behaving. The same action when I'm performing it here, and the same action is getting repeated on these two devices. This device is pretty slow, maybe because of the hardware configuration of this device. So you can see definitely the users who are using these devices will not get the right uh, they'll not be very happy using your application because of the hardware configuration of their device, right? So, all right, so let's take the return date here. I'm just choosing 30. Okay, so we have selected 24 as the start journey and 30th as the end journey or the return journey, and I'm saying apply. Now, this particular thing will get a bit replicated on both the devices here. Now, I'm saying find flights. Okay, so you can see the results started appearing there. Now there is something happened wrong on this device. Okay, and I believe let's give it one more time and see what happens. Okay, there is some network error came on this device, so you can see now this may not proceed further because when I'm interacting with this device itself, it is not taking the input, maybe because there is some network issue with this device. The network, Wi-Fi network to this particular device is switched off. Okay, so let's see, still going ahead with this device, and let's see how this device behaves. So if I'm just clicking on view details, you can see the same action is performed on the other device also. And let's say I come back, I say back, you can see the same thing will be appearing there. Now if I'm just maybe swiping this screen here, the same thing is happened there. I'm just going further and saying first class. They're also saying first class. Okay, so this way you can perform the testing. You can do the testing on one device only, and the same thing will get replicated on the rest of the two devices. Let me just click on the options. Let me click on the login, and you can see the same thing is being performed on this, right? So see, it has taken login maybe because it's a local thing. It is not fetching any data from outside. So this way you can see whatsoever I'm doing on this particular device is getting replicated on these two devices, right? This is what we are calling it as a multi-view session or follow me session. Now, once you are done with your testing, let's say you have finished, now I have, for the sake of, in the interest of time, we have taken a very small scenario here, but let's say you have a big scenario where you are testing it for 1 hour or 1.5 hours or 2 hours, you can do the testing. Once the testing is done, obviously you will be releasing the devices. So let's say I go ahead and release the device now. I say release. All the three devices will be released, and it is giving you a warning saying, your data will be cleaned up. Whatever applications you have installed will get uninstalled. Whatever data you have transferred to the device will get deleted, and the device will be rebooted after every session. So the next user will not understand what the previous user has done on these devices. Okay, so I'm just saying okay, and you can go back now. Again, the device is in cleanup mode. You can see here the device is available after a minute. So this is what follow me is all about. Now the most important thing comes after the testing is report, right? Now this is one of the key value add again which we are bringing in. When you are doing a testing with phone in hand, you will be observing certain things, and you are creating the defect, but you will be writing before creating a defect. You will be writing your observation somewhere. If you want to take the logs, if you encountered certain issues, then you will try to reproduce by connecting the device to your local system to capture the logs and all. But here at pCloudy, you don't have to do all these things. While doing testing, if you feel that there is some issue with the device screen, on the application, there is some issue, you can always capture a screenshot. We will capture the screenshot automatically and will be available in the reports folder. At the same time, let's see what are all things we are providing you in the reports, in the form of reports. So I'm just click on the reports folder. I'm clicking on all reports tab here, and in the all reports tab, I will take you first through the multi-view session which we have done recently, right? So this is the one which we have done. I'm just clicking on view report. Okay, so this is how the report will be shown for the follow me feature. So you can see the follow me symbol here. You can see the overview of the session, when you have done, what is the application name, what was the whether it is in a multi-view session or a single device session. You can see how many devices you have selected, and the session name, when it started, when it is completed, how long you have booked the session devices for, and below that we will be seeing the master device. In master device, whatever device you have selected will start appearing here, and then the steps detail and the snapshot. So if I just click on step details, it will list all the actions which you have performed on that particular device, right, throughout your test life cycle. So all that things we have clicked on, when we have said continue as a guest, we went inside, we have given the input there for Boston. We have given input as a New York, and then we keep on going, right? So all those things will start appearing it here, so you can actually to a level you can make it out what exactly you have done when you're doing a typical ad hoc testing, right? So, and below that, if you're capturing any screenshots, unfortunately we have not captured any screenshot, but if you capture a screenshot, the screenshot will start appearing it here. Now the beauty here is even when you are doing a multi-view testing, out of three devices, on one of the device you are seeing some issue. The screen is not appearing properly on one of the device, or the icon is not aligned properly on one of the device. You can simply click on the screenshot button, which we have seen in the beginning. Once you do that, we will actually capture the three screenshots from all the three devices, right? So we will capture the screenshot for that particular screen on all the three devices, and for each device we will keep it here. Now this is the Zopo 8, right? So the relevant snapshot will be available here, and below that we have the secondary devices. So if I just click on Motorola, for example, you can see here the detailed information about Motorola. You can see the environment details, the test case summary, the step summary. Below that you can see the execution details. So you can see the test case the same way which we have shown you there for the master. Same way you can see it here. So basically all the clicks which you have performed. Now here by default we are capturing the screenshot at every single step which you are performing. So if I just hover my mouse, you can see here we have something called snapshot. So if I hover my mouse on any of the steps, let's say here I was entering Boston, right? So if I just click on this step, you can see the screenshot, which is 1:1 pixel screenshot, and you can see what you have entered. Similarly, we have entered NYC, New York here. So if I just hover my mouse, and you can see New York is done, right? So this way you are getting the detailed information for each step, the associated screenshot and the result, whether it is pass or fail. So you can see here we have just clicked here and then we went and login. So that's what will be shown. So this is the way you can actually get the report for all your executions which you have done on pCloudy. And if I just come back to the reports folder, you can see it here we have button for downloading your reports. You can very well download the reports also. It's not that we are keeping the report with us. If you want, you can download the report. It will be in a zip format because it's all HTML report, and this is how the report will look like. Yeah. So if I just open the index file, okay, by default for me it is opening in the Opera, but you can open in any of the browsers. So you can see the same kind of result what we have seen, right? So this is your local copy. So you can see this is my local copy, and the other one was my this is my reports on my cloud drive. Okay, so this way you will be able to get the reports there. Now Samsung Note 8, I mean just because we do have 2 more minutes, I just want to use those 2 minutes to show you something for the benefit of all, is the test report for an individual device. So this is the one which we have seen right there. We have taken Samsung and I have done the small manual testing there, right? Now we do have a close integration with Jira. So if you have your Jira credentials entered from your profile, you should be able to log a defect quickly from here, or while doing testing itself after capturing a screenshot, you can straight away raise the defect in Jira very quickly from there. If you come down, you can see here we are providing you the battery information. These are the performance metrics which we were capturing for the specific application there, right? On Samsung Galaxy S8, in the very beginning when I have installed the application, I have chosen this particular application to monitor the application performance. And when you do that, you will start getting the information recorded in the reports also, but it is in pretty much details. You can see here there is the battery information. Below that we have a memory information where we are showing you memory pretty much in detail. We have CPU information where you are seeing the CPU information like application CPU, system CPU, user CPU. So all that things are pretty much available. There are screenshot, network charts which are available here. There are screenshots. This is the screenshot which we have captured there, right? So that screenshot is appeared here. You can download those screenshots, and the best part here is for while you are doing manual testing using pCloudy, we are recording the entire device logs in the background. Even if you are not starting the logs next to the device to monitor, we are still recording the logs in the background, which will be available in the logs folder. And there will be a video file which is getting recorded and stored in the reports folder for the entire given session. So if you are using a device for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, we are actually recording the entire session, and you can download this video and consume it whenever you want, just to see what exactly you have done during your testing cycle. Typically this will help you when you are doing ad hoc testing, because in ad hoc testing there are no appropriate or defined steps. You will be doing something or the here you will be giving some interrupt, this interrupt, that interrupt. And if you are doing the testing for maybe 1 hour, you may find a bug towards the end of 1 hour. And now if you are trying to reproduce that, it may not reproduce, because typically we will have a tendency to see what exactly I have done in last 5 or 10 minutes. But it may so happen that whatever action you have performed very much in the beginning might be acting as a precondition to get this particular report when you are doing consistently something or the other. So this video will help you and the development team to figure it out what exact scenario a tester has done to get this particular defect. So this way, a whole lot of statistics which we are generating is available to you, which you can use and consume it for your benefit. So this is what we have. I have to show rather here from the manual testing and the following feature point of view. So let's move on to the next part, which is basically the slide. So quickly just see what are the benefits we will be getting when we are actually using Follow Me, right? So of course there are so many other benefits, but to keep it simple, we have listed 3 primary benefits here. One is, of course, you are speeding up the manual testing, because you are just doing the testing on one device and it is getting tested on rest of the 2 devices. So close to 200% of time is getting saved while you are doing testing. So your speed of manual testing is increased drastically. Of course, you can increase the test coverage, because now the time which you were supposed to invest in doing the testing on rest of the 2 devices, you can actually use the same time to do several other scenarios on the same device. So your testing coverage you can increase, and of course you can increase the accuracy now, because the same ad hoc testing which you would have done on one device is getting automatically done on rest of the 2 devices. So the same ad hoc testing can be performed on 3 devices in the same fashion. So this way you can increase the accuracy for your testing. Apart from this, of course, there are several other benefits which I think you will definitely figure it out. So with this, I am just concluding the webinar here, and we are good to go ahead with the Q&A now. So please feel free to ask me questions, and I shall answer the questions here. And if any of the participants is new, they have not used pCloudy so far, they can actually register with device.pcloudy.com, and we do have free trials here, so you can actually use it for free and see how you get benefited out of that. So moving on to the Q&A now. I have a question from Tal. Yeah, he's asking, can I download the logs to my PC? So yes, you can very well download the logs to your PC. As I have explained you, in the reports folder, the entire logs are available, right? So you can actually download the logs from there. You can also download the logs from while you are doing testing, in multi-view also, or in manual testing. When you click on the logs tab, right, on the top there will be a download button, so you can download the logs at any given point of time while doing manual testing. There's one more question by Tal again. And the same goes for the analysis. Can I download the analysis for device to my PC? So currently, you are not able. We are not allowing it to download the analysis part there. It is because we are getting a lot of information in the back end, which is typically the data in the form of numbers, right? So that really does not make sense to you if you download those data in the form of numbers. So we are actually having certain scripts which will convert that into the graphical representation. So you can actually download the complete report as I have explained for the follow me reports. But for single manual testing, the reports are not downloaded as of now. But you can always open that, take a snapshot of that, add it to your existing reports, and share it with your other team members. I hope I have answered both of your questions, sir. There is a question from Srinivasulu. Uh, Device block time 30 minutes will be calculated for a single device of 30 into 3. So of course it is for 30 into 3 because you will be doing it on 3 different devices. So whatever number you are selecting, if you're saying 10 minutes, it is for individual device. And there is one more thing here, Srinivas. In case you consider take 30 minutes, and let's say in a typical scenario today, when I was doing it, I have actually used it only for 8 minutes or 9 minutes, and after that, when I'm releasing, you will be charged only for 8 minutes per device. So 8 into 3, 24 minutes instead of 90 minutes, right? The rest of the minutes which are unused will be credited back to your account. Question by Sankara. How will you do performance testing when there is a multi-view? So as I have explained very much in the beginning, Sankara, this particular feature is in beta right now, so we have disabled a lot of features here, but very soon those things will also be available. And typically for the performance, you'll have to just select the performance. You'll have to just choose the application for the performance the way I have shown for the manual testing for a single device, and then we will not be able to showcase that particular analysis on the same view because of the space constraint, but that particular information will be available in the reports folder. Now we are also figuring it out if we can show it on the same view because it will make more sense and more value. But you would have noticed that I am really not having any space on the browser to showcase that. But still, my UI team is working on that. UX team rather. Okay, one more question by Shankara is asking whether will it be supported only for only Android and iOS. Well, this particular follow-me feature is currently supported only for Android. iOS being a closed operating system, it is not supported as of now. We are still working on that to crack it. Maybe once we productize this particular feature into production, uh, in a quarter's time or 2 quarters time, we are hopeful that we should be giving this feature even for iOS devices. But as of now, yes, it is only for Android. There is a question from Rishi. After installing any app in device, once device session expired, app automatically uninstalled. But what about APK file? It is already in downloaded file. Why? Well, so typically the my app data folder which I had shown you, that is the cloud location we give it to every individual user, which is protected by his or her own user credentials. So it's a unique space which we are providing to every individual user. Whatever data you are keeping it there will remain with you. The access of that data will remain with you. Nobody else, no other users can see what exactly you have kept it there. So that is basically a kind of repository. You can keep your data there, and from there only you will be able to install it on the device. Device cleanup happens automatically. We expect the users to do it to protect their own data, but in case users are not doing it, we are taking that pain. We are automatically uninstalling the application, deleting the data, rebooting the device, and then keeping it in the cloud, right? But this particular file which you have uploaded to the cloud drive will remain there. If you are more concerned about that. Once your testing is done, you can always delete it. But to be very frank with you, the amount of security which we have in place is so secure that even the admins, the super admins from pCloudy cannot see any data from any user, even from the backend, even from the database, because it is all encrypted. And maximum to maximum, what they can see is a specific user has hit the size, because we are providing 10 GB of space to every individual user. So if you are approaching towards 8 MB or so, 8 GB or so, they will get a notification saying, a specific user has close to 10 GB or 8 GB or whatsoever, so that they can inform the user. I hope I have answered your question, Rishi. Uh, One more question by Rishi Raj is asking, we can our Wi-Fi network in pCloudy device. Okay, I believe you are trying to ask, can we connect your Wi-Fi network in pCloudy device? So yes, this is also pretty much possible. We do have a VPN facility, so you can connect, you can create a VPN server in your organization, in your network. You can create one username and password for that, and you can open a VPN client from the device and provide your credentials there, so that device will be virtually connected in your network, and you should be able to test your applications which are not public yet, or which is in the development environment. Okay, moving on to the next question by Vignesh. How about the user security? If I enter our mail ID and password, and if I release the session without logout, what will happen? Whether it will be saved? Uh, Vignesh, if I understood your question correctly, you are saying if you are entering your email address and password for some uh, account, let's say Google account, you are opening a Google from the device, Google Mail, Gmail, and you are entering your email ID and password there, and you are getting into your mailbox. Now, it is the responsibility of the user to, log out from there. Typically, we do have our logins provided on each of the device. pCloudy's user credentials are there, so you can use that. But for specific testing, if you need your information to be provided, you have to log out from ours. You have to log in with your credentials, and once your testing is done, you are supposed to log out that. If you're not logging it out, then there is a chance that that particular information or that particular mailbox might be visible to the other user. Though we are closing the browsers, though we are clearing the cache, you will still be noticed. We do have one specific checklist which we follow, is like we do after the cleanup, we do some sanity every day, and our sanity will try to figure it out. If there are certain mailbox open with any other username and password than what pCloudy uses, then we usually close that. We close that account, but we log out from there. But that is not something which is guaranteed always. So typically, this is what you have to do. It. So the basic concept here is we are giving you a device. We are leasing you a device. We are renting it out a device. Right now, it's in a digital world. Instead of physically coming and giving the device, we are providing it to you through the digital media, right, or online, right? So when you are done with your testing, before handing over the device to me, you are supposed to anyways clean up the device and give it to me. So that principle works here in the same fashion. Okay, so we are just left with 1 minute here. So I'll take up the last question, and if I have not answered, there are several few more questions which I have not answered. I'll try to answer those questions in one-on-one after the webinar is done. So the last question from Srinivasulu again. When this feature is going to be live, as you said, this is beta version. Yeah, Srinivasulu, so this is a beta version right now. We are hoping to release this feature in production by early next month. Maybe first week of May is what we are expecting this feature to be available on the cloud. All right, so we do have few more seconds, 30 more seconds, I believe. So let's take one more last question. This last question is from Shankara. Why are we using instrumented APK? What is the difference? Well, so instrumented APK, we are taking it because you would have noticed that whatever you are doing it on the master, the same action has to happen on the other two devices, right? So the platform in the background should get certain hooks, right? So that the platform understand what exactly you are doing it on this particular device. For that reason, we have to instrument the device. We have to instrument the file. If you are not instrumenting, then it may not exactly replicate what you are doing it on the master. It will still try to do the things on the rest of the two devices, but then it will be based on the coordinates, right? But the coordinates things will something not work always, because the coordinate things will differ with the different resolutions, different screen sizes, and different network capabilities, right? So that sorry, device capabilities. So for that reason, we have this catch here that the application has to be instrumented. I believe I have answered your question. If you are still not happy with my answer, I request you to please drop us an email, and we will try to answer your questions much more in detail, or we can connect one-on-one after this webinar. And for the rest of the questions which I was not able to get a chance to look at it, maybe I will just answer those questions in one-on-one basis after this webinar is done. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining this webinar, and I'm pretty sure that this webinar has given you a lot of insight about follow me feature, and this will be pretty much helpful to you when you will be doing your normal functional testing on physical devices. Thank you once more. Have a good day. Bye bye.